everybody out there on YouTube. How's it going? This is Big Lair here on Jack's Private Coffee Corner. It is March 27th. It's Friday for me here in Japan. It's a little past noon. Well, wait, looking at my clock, I can see it's 1. It's exactly 1 p.m. on a Friday, March 27th. Hope everybody's doing good. I'm doing great here in Japan. This is kind of an update on not so much the coronavirus, but just lots of stuff I'm thinking about the coronavirus. I put out some videos, about the coronavirus. The first couple ones got a lot of views. The last one didn't get that many views, so I thought, the hell with it. Why am I going to still make videos about the coronavirus? Nobody's really paying attention anyway. Interestingly enough, I'm hoping that some of you listened to my first videos where I said, hey, you'd better get your act together and get some food for yourself. Stock up on food, at least get a month's worth of food for yourself and your family. Any kind of personal hygiene items you want, you better get those stocked up, medicine, stuff like that. Things that make you feel good, So I hope everybody's done that. If you haven't, too bad, so sad, right? You had a chance, and if you had listened to my videos like how many weeks ago, you would have had this stuff all locked down tight, and you'd be in a good situation. You'd be at home eating popcorn, watching Netflix or whatever you're doing, right? Okay, so I'm just going to ramble on here. I'm going to call this a coffee talk. This will just be a coffee talk, and my coffee talk videos, I don't do that many on YouTube anymore. But coffee talk is just basically my idea behind this is if we were sitting down in a coffee shop, what would we talk about, right? And since a lot of you out there, especially those folks in America, you have nothing else to do with your time, you're not going to work, you're probably sheltering in place, or you're being quarantined, or whatever you're doing, or wherever you are, you got time to listen, so just sit back and listen to my video. I might have something interesting for you to hear. And more than likely, I have some different opinions on things than you do, and maybe you'll come to some conclusions you didn't have before, or maybe you'll say, man, that Lair, he's full of shit, I better write a reply to him. I'm okay with that too. Okay, the first thing I want to say, years ago, I'm in Japan now. I think all of you who watch my videos know I'm in Japan. If you're new to this and you don't know, I'm in Japan. I've been in Japan on and off for like 16 years. I was in Malaysia for 7 years, back from 2011 to, when was it? The end of, the beginning of, we'll say the end of 2017. The January of 2011 to the end of 2017, so 7 years in Malaysia. Had a great time in Malaysia. It was like living in paradise, I lived like a king, basically. Like, if you guys could see how I lived in Malaysia, you'd be like, holy crap, man, why'd you go to Japan? And I sometimes ask myself that question too. Anyway, I'm back to Japan now. I've been back here for 2 years, waiting to get out. As soon as my wife's visa paperwork is ready, boom, we are off to America. Back to America. Can't wait for that. Okay. So Malaysia, why am I mentioning Malaysia? Because Malaysia was really good experience. It was really good life experience for me for many reasons. And while I was living there, there were times when I thought, oh, hey, this is a life lesson right here. One of the things was during my 7-year stay in Malaysia, there were many times I went to the supermarket and certain items were gone. They were just gone. And these were supply chain issues, right? It just things weren't run efficiently. And so I would show up to the supermarket and my wife would say, hey, make sure you get some Greek yogurt. Okay, cool. I walk over, she's over in the whatever section. I go over to the yogurt section. The whole thing is empty. There's no yogurt, there's no milk, there's no butter, all the dairy stuff, that kind of, dairy related stuff. It's empty. It's just empty. Imagine going into your supermarket one day and there's no yogurt or milk or butter. Well, that happened in Malaysia quite often. Another time, go in, no vegetables today, or no fruits. I like ice cream. There was one store that sold ice cream from Wisconsin. Wisconsin makes the best ice cream, in case anybody wants to know. Well, maybe Iowa's got a couple good places too. But anyway, one store sold ice cream. Numerous times I would go to the supermarket, and they had a huge ice cream case, completely empty. Why? Truck hadn't come in. So that was like a normal thing. That was a normal thing. There were times, now I didn't drink colas or sodas or pop or however you say it. I don't drink Coca-Cola or anything like that. When I was younger, Mountain Dew was pretty good. I don't drink it these days. That's been more than 30 years since I've had it. I do like root beer. A&W root beer. If you want to get on my good side, buy me some real A&W root beer and put it in a frosty mug, and I'll probably tell you anything if you give me one of those. Anyway, so there's an aisle in the supermarket for that kind of stuff, right? Soft drinks. Now, in Malaysia, one of the things that I loved and my kids loved was this lychee juice. I don't know if you've ever had lychee. It's this fruit. It's kind of a whitish, clearish color, transparent color. It's quite nice, very refreshing when it's in a juice. So we would buy lychee in a can, and it would have pieces of lychee in it, right? Pieces of the fruit in it. So I would have to go to the aisle that has all the colas and sodas and whatnot to get the lychee juice. There were times I'd walk in, the whole aisle was empty. All they had was like a few cases of bottled water. It was gone. You'd be like, what the hell? Yeah, trucks haven't come in. Supply chain issue. That was a regular thing in Malaysia for over those 7 years. So what did I do? Well, I'm not a dumbass. So what I did was, as soon as I could, I bought a second refrigerator. So I had 2 refrigerators. You couldn't buy these big, the big freezers that you can buy in America, those, freezers, the huge freezers. We couldn't buy freezers, so I didn't buy freezers. I bought a second refrigerator. And once we kind of got in the groove of living in Malaysia and we knew what foods were available and what foods we liked, then we would stock up. Okay, what do you mean by stock up? Well, when I went to the supermarket, if they had lychee juice, guess what? I bought every can of lychee juice they had. I would just like put my arm on the shelf and go, and I would just pull it all into my cart. And I think the most lychee juice I ever bought at one time, because they'd have them in individual cans, they weren't like in 6-packs. I think the most cans I was able to buy at one time was 96. Now your next question is, holy crap, Larry, where'd you put this stuff in your place? Well, I lived in a condominium. It was 2,500 square feet. I had 2 kitchens. 2 living rooms, 5 bedrooms, and 5 bathrooms. So guess what? My second kitchen, which we didn't use very much because we have a first kitchen, all the cupboards got filled with that kind of stuff. I had one cupboard. You opened it up, boom. It's all lychee juice, and when I could get it, bottles of A&W root beer. Pretty awesome, huh? Like 2-liter bottles. It was just, this huge cupboard was stacked only with lychee juice and root beer. You got to live, right? And it was the same with everything. I made sure we had pasta, like dry pasta, right? That's pretty easy to buy. So I would just buy, let's say my wife says, hey, we need 2 packs of spaghetti or whatever, right? I'd buy 3 or 4 packs. 2 of them would go in our stock kitchen, and then 2 would go in the normal kitchen. And if you do that over a number of months, holy mackerel, you will amass this huge amount of food in your house. And that's how we did it. So, and I did this with everything. Like I said, I had a second refrigerator. Oh, I like Reese's peanut butter cups. I think they're, Reese's peanut butter cups, I don't know where it says they're made, but they're made by these little angels somewhere, and I'm not sure, they must come into the factory at night and make the Reese's peanut butter cups. I love Reese's peanut butter cups. I haven't had them in a number of years. I think it's like 6 years since I've had them. And in Japan, you can't buy them. For some reason, no one sells Reese's peanut butter cups. That's why this country is going to hell. You can't buy them here. But we get to Malaysia, guess what? Everything you can buy in America, you can buy in Malaysia. So I see Reese's peanut butter cups, I go wild. I would do the same with Reese's peanut butter cups. Now, Malaysia is a hot place. It's, in Celsius, it's right around 30 to 35 degrees Celsius all the time. And in Fahrenheit, what is that? I don't know. It's damn hot. No, it's probably upper 80s to upper 90s, right? We'll say, the mid 80s to the mid 90s Fahrenheit. So it's pretty hot. It's humid. Did rain every day, so it brought the humidity down for a while. But it's not the kind of place you're going to leave Reese's peanut butter cups sitting out on your counter. So that's why I had a second refrigerator. So I would do the same. Reese's peanut butter cups. Whoa, how many do they have? Hey, they got 2 boxes. 2 boxes would be 48. I would buy both boxes. They'd look at me a little crazy when I checked out. Sir, do you really want 2 boxes of these? Yes, I do. So I would do stuff like that because I knew maybe next week or the week after that, there'd be no Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Now, I wasn't going home and eating 48 Reese's Peanut Butter Cups all at one time. I had a little bit of sanity. Jesus, maybe one a day or something, right? But this worked out really well. Trying to think back when it was. There was one time for a number of weeks there were supply chain issues in Malaysia. I don't remember what it was caused by, something, government this and that, and workers of whatever, transportation workers. But there was like a 2 or 3 week period where we really couldn't get that much at the supermarkets. And I didn't notice any panic buying, but it's just stuff wasn't there. Just wasn't there. And I remember thinking like, wow, I'm so glad I stocked up on this food. And for 7 years we lived like that. We lived like that. In fact, when we left Malaysia, my wife and I had to sit down and make out a meal plan for 2 months to make sure we used up all of the food we had. And in the end, we still had food left over. We had a very good friend who lives in Malaysia, a Japanese guy, and his wife and daughter. I won't say his name, but really great guy. And we gave a ton of stuff to them. And they were like shocked. They were like, why would you have so much food? And I said to them, I told you guys I stocked up. They're like, yeah, but you told us you were eating it for 2 months. Yeah, I had leftovers. So anyway, don't ever discount stocking up on food. So that was really great experience for me living in Malaysia, because it got me used to the fact that, hey, I might go to the supermarket today and the stuff I like is not there. So learn to stock up. Okay, the second reason that Malaysia was really good for me is that the education system sucked. Okay, now let me just explain that statement, because I worked for the government, the Ministry of Education, and I worked on a big education project. And there are a lot of great teachers. So first, let me say there's a lot of great teachers in Malaysia. There's a lot of bad teachers. The system works somewhat, and I can say from experience that a lot of government people in the Ministry of Education, they admitted their system was not good. Their education system needed a lot of work. Now, and I tried to put my kids in public schools in Malaysia, but all of these education officials that I worked with put so many roadblocks in front of me. They kept saying, no, Larry, put your kids in private schools. The public schools are not good. Put your kids in private schools. All of these people, all of the education officials and government people, they didn't put their kids in normal public schools. No, they put them in private schools, which shows you they didn't have faith in the schools. And I didn't know any better in the beginning. I just thought, hey, put my kids in public schools, they'll learn the language, da-da-da-da-da. No, it didn't work that way. No one would help me. In fact, I had roadblocks put in front of me, so I could not put my kids in school. And I put my kids in a private school for 1 year. That school sucked, really sucked. The level of teaching was so low. From my experience now, looking back on it, the public school teachers were much better than some of the private school teachers. Absolutely. There are some fantastic public school teachers in Malaysia. Absolutely. Now, there's a lot of bad ones too, because I was a teacher trainer, so I worked with teachers. That was my job, was working with teachers. So I'm pretty aware of the level of teaching there. The education system, when I say the education sucks, it's not so much the teachers, it's the system that they have in place. It's sort of like Japan. They're way behind the times and they don't want to catch up to modern day, is what it is. Now, if I had to rate the Malaysian system versus the Japanese system, I would rate the Malaysian system higher, because I saw students who spoke 3 or 4 languages fluently by the time they were like 12 years old. In Japan, they can't even learn English. They learn Japanese, but they struggle to learn English, even having studied it in school. And here in school, everyone studies it at least 3 years in junior high, 3 years in high school, and now they've introduced it in the elementary schools, but they're doing it the wrong way. Kids, get out of school when they're 18, they graduate from high school, they can't speak English, most of them. But in Malaysia, I just said to you, I knew kids who spoke 3 and 4 languages when they were 12, and they didn't think anything of it. And here in Japan, if a kid speaks English, they're like, oh my God, he's a genius, he speaks English. No, he's not. Anyway, So the education system had a lot of issues. We'll just say that, okay? Maybe sucks is kind of strong. I'll take it back. Well, some places did suck. And if you ask Malaysians, and if they're honest about it, they will agree with that statement. I know they will, because I've had this discussion with a lot of people. But don't get me wrong, I love Malaysia. Fantastic people there, tremendous food. It was probably one of the most shocking places I've lived, because everyone said to me, oh my God, Malaysia, it's a Muslim country, it's going to be horrible and terrorist and this and that. It wasn't terrible at all. It was fantastic, you know. People treated me really well, really well. People are big on family there. They are very big on family, and they're big on kids in ways that we are not even in America. So Malaysia has a lot going for it. If they can ever, you know, adjust a couple things about their country, man, they're going to take off. They're really going to take off. Anyway, let me get back to my story here. So the second thing was my kids went to private school. It sucked. I pulled them out. I homeschooled my kids. So I homeschooled my kids for like 6 years. Homeschooling means your kids are at home with you. And with homeschooling, you have to have a curriculum, right? You have to have a curriculum. You know, what's your theoretical underpinnings of your curriculum? You got to figure that stuff out, right? And then you got to create a syllabus for each class they're going to do. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work as a parent. And because I was an educator, I did all that. And my wife helped out tremendously, tremendously. So because of this, my kids were home all the time. And with the job I had a lot of time off. I had a lot of time off with what I was doing. So I was at home all the time with my wife and 3 kids. So we were together all the time. And it just became normal. I never thought, oh my God, I'm home with my kids, they're driving me nuts. I never thought that at all. I don't know if my wife thought that. I don't think so. She's never mentioned it to me. So I was very grateful to have that experience, that for 6 years, I spent a lot of time with my kids and my wife. Just a ton of time, got to know who they are. You know, because when your kids are going to school every day and you're at work, you see your kids in the morning, at night, and then on the weekends. You don't really know who they are. But if you spend a lot of time with people, you get to know who they are, what makes them tick, and all that kind of stuff. So that was really precious to me, really precious to me. And so those are 2 great things I learned from Malaysia, and that's going to relate to my first topic here. Got some things written down on some notepads here, sticky notes. I hear a lot of people talking on YouTube and other places saying how, oh my God, I'm home with my kids, I'm home with my husband and my wife, everyone's driving me nuts. Everyone's driving me nuts. And I would say, like, what are you? Are you goofy? Your kids? Wait. So you chose to be with this spouse, and the reason you married them is because you want to spend the rest of your life with them, but they're driving you nuts by being home every day. What the hell is that? What does that say about you? And your kids are driving you nuts? Same thing. You had the kids. These are your kids. Like, why are they driving you nuts? Maybe it's because you haven't spent enough time with them. Maybe that's what it is. You know, a lot of people, they get so wrapped up in themselves, this me bullshit. They don't take time to see what's going on with their kids. And the kids come home and you don't want to talk to your kids. You got your own thing going on. You want to look at your phone or do whatever. You tell the kids, hey, watch a movie on Netflix, do this, do that. So you don't even spend time with your kids when you have a chance to. Like, what message are you sending to your kids if you do that? So to all those people out there who say that your spouse is driving you nuts, your kids are driving you nuts, I would say, what the hell is wrong with you? What the hell is wrong with you? Get your head out of your ass and start talking with your kids. Start communicating with your kids. Start communicating with your husband. Get off your damn device. I mean, you're watching me here on YouTube through a device, but once you're done with the video, like, get off and like actually talk and find out what's going on with your family. Jesus. It drives me nuts when I hear people say stupid shit like that. My kids are driving me nuts. Why are they driving you nuts? You're the parent. You're the parent. You set the rules. You set the boundaries. You set the tone for your whole family, right? Okay, so that's all I'm going to say about that, but that really kind of gets me when people talk about that. Okay, let's see. What's the next thing I got here? Sorry about that. I have some notes, but these days I use the computer so much that I really, now when I write, it's like chicken scratch. You got to look at it and go, what the hell? Okay, so if this quarantine goes on much longer and there are disruptions to the supply chain, I hope they're not. I really hope they're not. But if they are, maybe you're going to eat a little less. And I know a lot of people who need like 2 sets of eating less, right? 2 sets of don't eat so much shit. Jesus, there's a lot of super heavyweight people in America. Oh my God, what's going on with you people? It's simple. It's really simple. If you eat too much food, you get fat. It's not like, oh, I have a thyroid problem, or oh, I have a slow metabolism. Your metabolism is slow because you sit around all the time and eat. That's what it is. It's really simple. If you live in other parts of the world, and a lot of you haven't, if you live in different parts of the world like I have, you don't see too many fat people. You really don't. Number one, people get out and move around more than Americans do. They really get out and do a lot of stuff outside. I think back to the 1970s and 80s in America when I was growing up, I didn't see fat people as a kid. I knew one, in all the time, let's say from the time I was born to my high school graduation, I knew 2 fat kids. Only 2 fat kids. Both of the kids were fat, and when I saw their moms and their mom and dad, they were both fat. So there was something going on with that family that wasn't going on with everybody else. They just, I don't know, they were super eaters or something, whatever. They were fat. Now, they could have had a genetic thing. Who knows? And a lot of people try to say, oh yeah, it's genetics. I don't eat much at all. I'm fat. That whole genetic thing, that works for maybe 1% of the population, okay? So I only knew 2 fat kids, right? And I remember as a kid, there was a distant relative of my grandmother's who was kind of a heavyweight guy. But everyone knew he ate like crazy. If he came to a picnic, and like you had barbecues and, hamburgers and bratwurst and whatever, this guy would like eat 3-4 plates of food. So he was just like, he's making himself fat. But that was not the norm when I was a kid. There were not all these super fat people who had needed a walker, 30 years old, you need a walker, you got diabetes and all this shit. What's going on, people? Don't you have any self-control? My God. Now, I know people will be like, oh my God, you're making fun of people, or you're putting people down who are fat. No, I'm not. I'm just telling the truth of the matter. If you eat more food than you burn off, if you eat, you take in more calories than your body burns off, you will gain weight. It's pretty simple. It's pretty simple, right? And what's really sad is seeing fat kids. Kids should not be fat. Oh my God. I'm so shocked when I see kids that are fat. Like, kids should not be fat at all. And my image of a kid is someone who's on the go 100% of the time, outside playing around, doing this, doing that, eating like mad, and not gaining a pound. They're like skinny all the time. What's going on, people? Holy moly. I'm starting to see it in Japan too. But in Japan, I've watched this slowly happen. I knew it was going to happen. They started first with that you go to a restaurant. Hey, it's all you can drink. That was the first thing I noticed. Hey, this restaurant has all you can drink. Let's go here. It's only $3. All you can drink. And then you look at what they have. And, ooh, they got Coca-Cola and Sprite. That place has got Pepsi. That's not good. That's not good because they put, it's made with high fructose corn syrup. That messes up your liver and all kinds of stuff. Then I noticed they had all you could eat restaurants here. As soon as I saw that, I told my wife, I said, oh, you're going to start seeing fat ass people in Japan just like you see in America. All you can eat, that's not good. Because you want to get your money's worth, right? You used to go to the pizza place and you ordered a pizza and your family ate one pizza and you guys were happy. Now it's all you can eat. It's all you can eat. So you tell your kids, hey, I'm paying for this, so you got to eat up. Can't you eat some more? The same with adults too, right? Hey, we're paying, we got to get our money's worth, get our money's worth. I'm going to eat twice what I normally eat. You go home and your stomach's all bloated and stuff. Jesus. So I think one good thing about this virus is hopefully, now it may go the opposite way. I'm hoping people will be smart and say, hey, we got to kind of conserve our food. We don't know if there's going to be supply chain issues and whatnot. We'll just eat a little less, which is really healthy, I hope it doesn't go the other way and you get people sitting around because now they're not at work moving around. They're going to sit at home. The guy will be sitting there with his wife and he'll be like, man, we can't go to work. Man, this sucks. Yeah. And he's like, what should we have? And she's like, let's have a frozen pizza. And he's like, yeah. she gets the frozen pizza and she's like, hey, we should have some ice cream too. Normally we have ice cream with dinner, but we deserve this. We're at home. We're sheltering in place. We deserve this ice cream. He's like, yeah, we deserve it, honey. Okay, let's have the pizza and then we're having ice cream. So you start talking like you deserve this and that. That's a disaster right there. That's a disaster waiting to happen. What's going on, people? Don't be talking like that. Deserve stuff. I'm the opposite. Like if I know I'm going to go to this place and have pizza or whatever, right? That day I'll get up and I'll say, okay, I normally do 100 push-ups. Today it's 200 push-ups. I'm going to earn that pizza. I'm going to earn it. Not that I deserve it. I don't deserve shit, right? Like every day you get up, the slate is clean. You got to start out with a clean slate. Did you earn that today or not? You know if you did or not. You sit there at 10, 11 at night eating Kentucky Fried Chicken. You know if you earned that or not. So anyway, I hope people will eat less. I really do. This would be a good chance for everyone to do that. Now this brings me to the idea that you're sitting at home, you got all this free time. If you're lucky, you're getting paid to be there because your company said, oh, Jesus, we got to close down and, we don't want to let you go. You're getting paid for the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever. Why don't you use this as a chance to challenge yourself? Start exercising more, right? That would be the best. Exercise more. Most people don't exercise enough, right? Get your fat ass up and do something. Exercise. Even if it's wall push-ups, I understand not everybody can do normal push-ups. Not everybody can do pull-ups and different stuff like that. Start out with something you can do and work up. Challenge yourself every day, even if it's one more. Okay, today I did 20 wall push-ups. Tomorrow's going to be 21. Challenge yourself, right? Also, challenge yourself in other ways, not just physical ways. Make yourself better. Is there something you wanted to learn about? Learn about it, right? Is there something you wanted to get better at? Maybe you've got a hobby, it's woodworking or whatever, you make stuff with stained glass, but you've never had enough time to really put into it to get good at it. Hey, now's your chance. What are you doing? Think of your hobby as like a job. You're like, even if you want to be lazy, say, okay, for the next 2, I'm going to get up every day, and the first thing I do after breakfast is for 2 hours, I'm going to work on my stained glass, or for 2 hours, I'm going to do some woodworking, right? Whatever it is. Or, man, I've been wanting to repair this at my house, or I've been wanting to fix that. Put time into it. Act like it's a job. Say, I'm going to start at this time, I'm going to finish at this time, or I'll take a break at that time, right? And just keep going. You have a perfect chance to turn over a new leaf with this shelter in place and quarantine stuff. You get a lot done. You'd be surprised how much you can get done when you have a full day. Most people, in my opinion, when they have a free day, they do jack shit. They don't do anything, jack squat, right? They just sit around and they go, oh man, I had the day off, the day's done. I didn't get anything done. Yeah, it's because you didn't plan it out. Get your ass up like you normally do at the same time and say, okay, I'm not going to work today, but I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Get your garden ready, whatever, There's lots of stuff you could prepare for. Do you do canning? Does anybody do canning anymore? If you do canning, get your canning stuff out, get it all washed up, get it ready so that when, I know it's early. People haven't even planted anything yet, but just whatever you can to prepare for the future is going to help you out. Challenge yourself, do something to better yourself with this time. Don't just sit around watching Netflix, eating microwave popcorn every day, okay? Okay, now this next one, I was going to leave this to last, but I'm going to stick it in right here because it's in my notes. What's going on with this whole coronavirus thing? We had SARS before, we had MERS before, we've had other stuff before, but the whole frickin' country did not shut down, right? Look in Europe, Spain is shut down, Italy shut down, other countries are shut down. The U.S., right? So many places are shut down. I have relatives who are telling me, we've got a shelter in place until the end of the month. Oh no, it's been extended to April 14th. Holy crap, Australia, same thing with them, right? I have friends in Australia I just talked with. Here in Japan, for whatever reason, we're not sheltering in place. We're out doing everything that we normally do. We're riding trains, we're going to restaurants, we're going to Starbucks. Nothing has changed. The only thing I've noticed different is that more places have, well, lots of places now, you walk in, they have a big alcohol thing there. You just like pump the alcohol in your hands, and they say, yes, put it on your hands for 10 seconds, get all the viruses off. Oh, great. And they walk around and clean tables more than they used to. Like at Starbucks, I'm not picking on Starbucks, but they used to come around and wipe the table down, and the girl would use the same rag to wipe down all the tables. So if there was something real filthy on the first table, now you just spread it to all the other tables. They don't do that anymore. Now I notice they actually spray the table with alcohol and wipe it off and spray the next one. So things are getting a little cleaner, which is nice. There are places that have soap in the bathrooms now that never had soap before. So that's good. That's good. But we're not sheltering in place here. We're still going out and doing whatever else we want. And I believe it's because they don't want the economy to crash. The economy is already in a pretty precipitous place right now. It's not good at all. They were hoping the Olympics would pull them out of this economic slump. The Olympics have been postponed until next year. Things looking pretty dire for Japan. So nobody's sheltering in place here. Hey, we're out being good consumers. Get out there and spend money, people. Keep the economy going. And I'm helping do my part. Okay, so what's going on with all this? To me, it seems like an overreaction, the coronavirus. That's just, now, I know lots of people have died in China, in Italy. It sounds terrible. I have two very, very good friends from Italy, so I've heard firsthand accounts of what's going on. Okay, so I'm not saying the virus, I do believe there is a virus. I do believe it's deadly. But I'm wondering, there seems to be something else afoot. It's not just the virus. Because how can a country like Japan justify not shutting down, and other places are completely shutting down everything? What I think is going to happen is there will be a financial reset. This is something I've known about for a number of years. I've talked about it with close friends and some family members. Most people probably don't know about this, but the world economies have not been going as good as you think they have been. There's this huge derivatives market that most people don't know about, and there's other things you don't know about the financial system that would show, if you knew these things, that things are not good. Things are not good. They're in a pretty bad position. And the day is coming when something needs to be done. Now, so a financial reset has to take place. I think that financial reset is now. It's going to occur within the scope of this coronavirus threat that we have, this pandemic. It will occur within this time period. Why? Well, just imagine if there was no virus. There's no virus. Life is going on just normally, right? Nothing is different than what we had, 6 months ago, and everything crashes. And all the governments announce we have to reset everything. You're going to be pretty pissed off at the politicians, the people running the country, right? So they will be the people we will direct our anger towards. There's you can actually see, you can physically, okay, those are the bastards who did this to us, let's get them. However, if you have a coronavirus and the virus causes everything to crash, who do you blame? You're not going to go out and physically, attack some politician or take it out on someone like that. You're going to say, oh, Jesus, it was a coronavirus. Man, that pisses me off, but there's nothing you can do. It's a virus. What, are you going to attack the virus? Pretty stupid, right? So I think this is going to be a financial reset. And we're going to move to cryptocurrencies. Now, I've been talking about cryptocurrencies on YouTube for about a year. I've been studying cryptocurrencies since 2016, doing a lot of studying on cryptocurrencies. Man, I've got like an encyclopedia here of cryptocurrency knowledge. Most of it does not get used because the average person I talk with knows nothing about cryptocurrency, so it's just something that internally I know a lot about, but I don't often mention it to anyone. So I'm going to tell you guys right now, you'd better get your shit together and get into cryptocurrencies. Okay? So anybody watching this, get into cryptocurrencies. You got to start studying about it, understand what it is. If you can't use a computer, holy crap, a computer or a smartphone or something, you got to get up to speed, because I think our system is going to move. I think we'll still have fiat currency. Fiat currency would be like a paper dollars and paper yen and paper pounds and whatnot. I still think that'll be around for a while, but we're going to move mostly to digital currencies, digital assets, cryptocurrencies. And we will use that as our means of exchange. So get yourself up to speed on that if you already haven't. I've got some videos on YouTube here about cryptocurrencies. I've got some on my Patreon channel. I'm not recommending anyone go to my Patreon channel because I got a nice group of people over there. We're doing fine. I don't know if we need anybody else over there to bug us, but if you really needed to, and I do have a library of videos on cryptocurrencies, how to do everything for cryptocurrencies. So maybe what I'll do is, because I don't really want anybody to join my Patreon and ruin the whole thing, I'll put some videos here on YouTube. I'll put like half the video on YouTube, and then if you want to see the other half, you just come over to Patreon and see it, okay? That's what we'll do. So I don't want anyone to think I'm trying to pump my Patreon channel by saying this. I truly believe we're going to move to cryptocurrencies, and I would like to see all of you be prepared for this so you're not shocked and suddenly now you're forced to use this, you don't know how to do it, and you're going to get ripped off, and all kinds of stuff will happen. Because trust me, if you don't know what you're doing with cryptocurrencies, you can lose your shirt really fast. And anyone who's been in cryptocurrencies for any length of time, you know this. There are so many ways you could lose your shirt. You could lose everything, be cheated out of stuff and whatnot. So you really need to come up to speed on cryptocurrencies. Okay, what do we got here? Oh yeah, this next one. Sorry, I've got these notes and they're tiny. So anyway, one thing I've been thinking about, especially the first topic was, people saying their spouses are driving them nuts, their kids are driving them nuts. What's this going to do for a lot of marriages? I think it's going to make some marriages stronger. Maybe they were shaky, but now because you're with your spouse all the time, you're kind of forced to be together and you talk issues out. You probably argue a lot more than you used to, but you'll come to a point where you're like, oh, geez, man, I've been a jerk. Or the wife will say, man, I've been a real bitch. Okay, let's fix this thing, and the marriage will get better. I think that'll happen. Marriages will get better, and then some are going to just break wide open. They'll break wide open. Spending all this time, they'll be like, holy shit, that's not the guy I married, or that's not the girl I married. What's going on with her? What's going on with him? And they'll just break up because of this. So that's an interesting thing to think about. This is going to cause, I wonder, is somebody out there, please do this. Please do a study on the number of divorces up until the coronavirus and then the number of divorces after the coronavirus. Just do it for America. Pick a couple different states and see what numbers you come up with. I'd be real interested to see what happens. And the other thing, do you remember what happened after World War II? All the troops came back from overseas, from the Pacific front, from the European front. I'm talking about America here. I'm an American, so, all the American troops came back to America after World War II. What happened? They came home and they had babies. Well, they didn't have babies, but their wives had babies, right? People made babies. Is there going to be like a coronavirus baby boom 9 months from now? About 9 months from now? Will there be a time period in the future where, boom, there's going to be this huge population spike? That would be interesting, wouldn't it? Just something I was thinking about. Let's see. Man, I got to get my glasses. My writing is horrible here. Jesus. Oh, yeah, I forgot one here. So now you got all these people sitting at home, and this idea was kind of inspired by my kids. I was watching my son. He was making something, and he said, "Oh man, there's no company that makes this thing and this and that." And my wife and I said, "Why don't you make it?" And he's like, "What?" Well, like, yeah, what would be the materials? And he told us the materials. Well, we could buy all those things. We took him out and bought the materials, and now he's making this thing. And he's made about 10 versions of it now, which is really cool because he made the first one and goes, oh, that kind of sucks. It's what I wanted, but it sucks. I can make the design better. So he's had all these different, what do you call them, iterations or variations of this one thing, and he's like really fine-tuning it now, which is cool to see. So will everybody staying home cause an increase in inventions? Will people be out there solving issues, giving solutions to problems that we've had for years, because now they have the free time to sit there and think about it. They have nothing else to do, and they say, what the hell, I'll just give this a try. Boom, they're going to come up with something new. Really looking forward to that. And will that change our technology? Will we have some new technology because some guy or some gal out there is bored and they go into their workshop or their garage or wherever and tinker around, and bam, they come up with some new thing? I'm really waiting to see this. I'm like super excited to see what comes out of this. So that's something else to think about. And then I was going to make a list, like a top 10 list of 10 jobs I would not want to have during the coronavirus, but I could only think of one job I wouldn't want to have, or one job that would be adversely affected. I wouldn't want this job anyway just because of my personality, but one job that will be really adversely affected by the coronavirus is prostitution. Think about it. Now, I'm not just talking about female prostitutes. Male prostitutes would be in the same boat, right? Now they're going to be looking at their customers in a totally different light, probably because, in some countries, prostitution is legal. In some states in America, I believe, at least Nevada, prostitution is legal. In a lot of countries, I think in Japan here, I don't know if it's illegal or not. I know there are places you can go, and everyone knows about these. The police don't touch them. I've never personally been there myself, and I'm not just saying that for a YouTube video, but I'm not that kind of guy. But I know there are places you can go and pay money to have, sex with a prostitute, male or female, right? Here in Japan, I know about that. And other countries, it's legal. And I'm sure probably every country in the world has a situation similar to Japan, right? Everyone knows that, if you want to, find a prostitute, you go to that part of that city and that's where you do it. Wow, that's going to wreck their business, isn't it? This whole coronavirus thing. Man, that can't be good. Wow. So I wouldn't want to be involved in that kind of industry right at this point. So how is that going to change things for the future? Because, from here on out, people are going to be thinking about this, aren't they? They're going to be thinking, oh man, because the coronavirus, will it just go away and never come back? Could pop up a few more times, right? It's a virus, so, as we've been told, since we were kids, that, there's no medicine for viruses. There's no vaccines for a virus, right? Hopefully you just build your immune system up strong enough and the virus is killed by your own body. So this could come back. So how will that change prostitution? Now, I'm not so hung up on that issue, like I'm interested in the topic, but I was just thinking, what jobs would really suck having right now? Oh, that would be a big one, right? You wouldn't want to have that. Okay, so that's just my ramblings about the coronavirus, things I've been thinking about last couple of weeks. Of course, you guys, I mentioned, get food if you can. Like, don't go out and hoard food, right? Because if you go out and hoard stuff, like all these retards who are buying extra toilet paper. Now, toilet paper. Years ago, what I used to do here in Japan, because, we have earthquakes, and was always thinking about like that could happen. And I didn't mention it at all, but in Japan, I also stocked up on food. And I had like a year's worth of, I thought it was 3 months. Turns out I had a year's worth of food and 2 years worth of toilet paper and hygiene products, because I shipped them all to Malaysia after this Fukushima disaster. And then we used the stuff for 2 years, the food for a year and the other stuff for 2 years. So that's how I know that. But like I said, you go to the store, like you buy one toilet paper, get a second one, and that second one gets put off in, wherever, if you have the space, just for a rainy day, like this type of situation. You can do that with your food too, right? You don't have to go out and buy 100 cans of corn or whatever, just buy like one extra can or a couple, if you like to eat canned tuna or whatever it is, Hormel chicken chili, I don't know what you're eating, but whatever you like to eat, if it's that kind of food that'll last a while, just buy an extra one. Do that every time, and then after a couple months, you'll be surprised at how much extra food you have sitting around, and you won't be in the situation where you're panicking when you really need it, like you may be with this whole coronavirus thing. Okay, so the takeaway on all this stuff is I'm a pretty smart guy and I've got a lot of interesting ideas. No, I'm just kidding. The takeaway on this is a very multifaceted issue, the coronavirus, and how it's going to affect us, probably going forward. I think once we get a little bit into the future, we will look back and say, wow, our life has not been the same since that day or since that time. Since the beginning of 2020, our life has not been the same. We live in a different world now. We live our lives differently. I really think that we'll say that in the future, and not too distant future. So, wow, exciting, huh? We're in this kind of historical moment right now. And so the real takeaway, though, is that we're moving into a new economic paradigm. It's going to be cryptocurrencies. Absolutely, absolutely. Whether we get there quickly or not, we're moving to it. There are cryptocurrencies out there. Everyone knows about Bitcoin and Litecoin and all these other coins, right? We're moving in that direction. And my advice to all of you would be, get up to speed on cryptocurrencies. So you know what's going on with it. You know how to buy them. You know how to use them. You know how to keep them safely and securely in a wallet. And this could be an online wallet or a wallet on your smartphone. It could be a software wallet. It could be a hardware wallet, which maybe you have no idea what I'm talking about right now. But definitely you have to get up to speed on this, right? Okay, and as I said, I'll make some videos on YouTube, and I'll put half the video on YouTube to see if there's any kind of interest. And if there is, if you really wanted to see the rest, then you just jump over to my Patreon and see the rest. We'll just do it that way, okay? And if no one's interested, hey, I'm fine. I've got a nice group on Patreon already. I've got some wonderful patrons that support me. And so if I get more, I'm happy. If I don't, I'm okay too. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you've watched it all the way to the end. I've got Google Analytics. I know that not everybody watches these things to the end. Come on, help me out here. You got enough time. You're just sitting around at home not doing anything anyway, right? So if you have a question or comment, please put it down below. I love to hear comments from people, questions from people. Sometimes they're very humorous, sometimes they're very interesting, make me think about things that I've never thought about. So please do that. If you liked the video, smash up that like button for me, please. If you're not a subscriber, think about subscribing. I have some interesting stuff, I think, different stuff. And I will try to post more than I have recently. Recently, I've been very busy focusing on work for whatever reason, while everyone else is getting, laid off or working from home. Even here in Japan, people are working from home now. My work has increased. So I thought to myself, this may not last forever. I may be out of a job because I deal with people. I do consulting work. I deal with people face to face. So I thought, well, I'm going to strike while the iron's hot and I will take all this work. But things are going to slow down from next month, it looks like. So I made a good choice. So anyway, I'll have more time for videos. You guys take care. I hope you're doing well, and I will see you in the next one.